The salt hit my tongue before the words did. I was standing on the balcony, barefoot, wind tearing through my hair like it wanted to rip the past out of my skull. The ocean was the color of a fresh bruise that morning, waves smashing the shore so hard the boards under my feet trembled. I remember thinking, this is what freedom feels like, right before my phone lit up and ruined everything. You'll make room for your sister. 6 words.
No congratulations.
No, I'm so proud of you, Elena. No acknowledgement that I had just handed a banker a check with more zeros than most people see in a lifetime. Cash, no mortgage, no one to answer to, for a 3-bedroom slice of heaven hanging over the Atlantic in Myrtle Beach. Just a command. I stared at the screen until the letters blurred, until the reflection in the black glass wasn't me anymore, just some hollow-eyed woman clutching a phone like it was a loaded gun. My pulse was so loud I couldn't hear the waves. My chest felt like someone had parked a truck on it, because I knew exactly what was coming. My mother didn't ask. She declared. She always declared.
In Elena voz.
32. I buy steel and rebar and concrete for buildings that scrape the sky, buildings nobody will ever know I helped birth. I sit in fluorescent conference rooms and negotiate until my voice is raw, then go home to a studio apartment that smelled like mildew and regret. For 10 years, I lived like that.
No vacations. No dating.
No new clothes unless they were on clearance. Every dime went into an account labeled someday. Someday finally came 3 days ago. I walked into this condo and cried because the air didn't smell like anyone else's disappointment. I cried because the walls were blank and waiting for me to decide what went on them. I cried because for the first time in my life, no one could tell me to turn the music down or move my shoes or make myself smaller. And now this text. I laughed, one sharp, ugly bark that scared a gull off the railing because something inside me snapped like an old bone finally giving up. I typed one word back. Okay. I hit send and smiled the kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes. A predator's smile. Because I already knew I wasn't going to make room. I was going to salt the earth, so nothing that hurt me could ever grow there again. You need to understand what it was like growing up in that house. Lila was the sun. I was the shadow that proved the sun existed. When she wanted dance classes, the money appeared. When she wrecked her first car, a newer one showed up wrapped in a bow. College? Paid in full, plus spending money for emergencies. She changed majors 4 times, dropped out twice, and every time she came home crying, the fatted calf was slaughtered and the prodigal daughter was welcomed with tears and lasagna.
Me?
I got lectures about responsibility. I got told I was so capable while I worked doubles at a campus bar that smelled like vomit and cheap beer. I got to watch my mother hang Lila's mediocre watercolors in the hallway while my Dean's List certificates stayed in a drawer. I got to hear, we're so proud of both our girls, and know exactly which girl they meant. I was the mule, the fixer, the one who never broke because breaking wasn't allowed. I learned early that love was a finite resource in our house, and I was never going to rank high enough to earn a drop.
So I stopped asking.
I built armor out of exhaustion and spreadsheets. I told myself if I just worked harder, saved more, achieved enough, one day they'd look at me the way they looked at Lila, like I was a miracle instead of a utility. They never did. And I hated them for it. But I hated myself more for still wanting them to. The night after the text, I didn't sleep. I sat on the floor of the empty second bedroom, the one that was supposed to be my office, my sanctuary, the one place in the world that would finally be only mine, and I pictured Lila's clothes exploding out of suitcases, her makeup staining my marble counters, her friends raiding my fridge at 2 a.m. while I slept on the couch like a maid who'd overstayed her welcome. I pictured my mother smiling that tight, satisfied smile she wore whenever she got her way. And something dark and quiet uncoiled inside me. At 4:03 a.m., I opened my laptop and started hunting. Not for furniture. Not for curtains. For people. Real people. People who would pay rent on the first, who wouldn't treat my home like a crash pad, who might, God, maybe even see me. I found Marisol in a private group for digital nomads and traveling professionals. Her profile picture was her laughing on a catamaran, curls flying, eyes daring the world to try her. I messaged her before the sane part of my brain could talk me out of it. I have a 3-bedroom oceanfront condo that isn't even on the market yet. I need every room filled with quiet, respectful, paying humans by the weekend. Money isn't a concern. Sanity is. She responded in 7 minutes. Sweetheart, I live for this kind of chaos. Give me until tomorrow night. I gave her until tomorrow morning. By 10 a.m., she'd sent me 4 files. Nico Valdez, 34, back-end engineer for a cybersecurity firm, references from 2 vice presidents who used words like monk-like focus and zero drama. Sage Calder, 29, fine art photographer fleeing a controlling ex, portfolio full of images that made my throat close up with their beauty. Rowan Hale, 31, trauma nurse fresh from 13 months in a field hospital outside Aleppo, needed silence and salt water more than air. And bonus, Amadio Keke, 36, jazz pianist on sabbatical, soft-spoken, kept vampire hours, paid 6 months up front because he just sold the movie rights to one of his compositions. I said yes to all of them. I didn't tell my mother. Instead, I did something I'd never done in my entire life. I claimed every inch of the space before. Anyone could take it from me. I hung the painting I bought in Marrakesh, the one I'd kept wrapped in storage for 6 years because my old apartment didn't deserve it. I put fresh white sheets on my bed and cried because they smelled like lavender and not mildew. I bought orchids, ridiculous, extravagant orchids that cost more than my first car payment ever was, because I could. Because I was allowed to want beautiful things that did nothing but exist. Every time the old guilt tried to crawl up my spine, I walked to the balcony, pressed my palms to the railing still warm from the sun, and whispered to the ocean, "This is mine. I paid for it with pieces of myself. I will never get back. They do not get to touch this." Friday evening, the new tenants arrived like the universe was trying to prove it still had my back. Nico first, quiet, dark eyes, carrying nothing but a backpack and 2 monitors. He shook my hand like he was afraid he'd break me, then disappeared into the second bedroom and left a handwritten thank you note on the counter that just said, "You have no idea what this means." Sage came next, hauling camera bags and houseplants and a smile that felt like the first day of summer. She hugged me without asking, smelled like coconut oil and possibility, and immediately strung fairy lights across the den like she was healing the room one bulb at a time. Rowan showed up last, still wearing sea green scrubs, eyes bloodshot from a 20-hour flight. He took one look at the ocean through the glass wall, dropped his duffel, and cried, just stood in my living room and cried like a man who hadn't been allowed to feel anything in over a year. I handed him a beer. He drank half of it in one pull, wiped his face, and said, "I think I'm going to be okay here." Amadi arrived after midnight, rolling a single suitcase and a keyboard case. He bowed slightly, formal and old world, and asked if 3 a.m. practice with headphones would disturb anyone. I told him the walls were thick and the ocean was louder. He smiled like I'd handed him a gift. By sunrise, the condo wasn't empty anymore. It was breathing. And I had never felt more like a goddamn queen. Saturday, 11:58 a.m. I'm on the balcony, coffee gone cold, watching my mother's silver Escalade crawl up the drive like a funeral procession. Lila steps out first, hair in perfect beach waves, designer sunglasses, rolling 2 monogrammed suitcases like she's checking into a resort that owes her something. Mom follows, clutching her purse like a shield, mouth already set in that familiar thin line that means the world has wronged her, and I'm about to pay the bill. I meet them at the door before they can knock. "Elena, this place is stunning," Mom starts. "We're talking inside," I say.
My voice is steady.
I barely recognize it. Lila pushes past me, drops her purse on my kitchen island like she's planting a flag. "So where's my room?" "The big one with the balcony, right?" I don't answer her. I look at my mother. "You didn't ask if she could live here. You told me she was." Mom lifts her chin. "Family doesn't need permission, Elena." I laugh. Short, sharp, vicious. That's rich coming from the woman who told me at 16 I needed to get a job if I wanted lunch money. Lila rolls her eyes, So hard I'm surprised they don't fall out. God, Elena, why are you being such a bitch about this? I walk, slow, deliberate, to the second bedroom and push the door open. Nico looks up from his standing desk, headphones around his neck.
Hey, Elena.
Everything okay? Mom and Lila freeze in the hallway like someone pressed pause on the world. I close the door softly, walk to the den.
Push that door open too.
Sage is curled on the window seat, editing photos, fairy lights glowing behind her like a halo. She smiles, waves.
Eat.
You need anything? Rowan is in the kitchen making coffee. He lifts a hand in greeting. Amadi is on the balcony, headphones on, fingers dancing. Silently over an invisible keyboard, eyes closed, swaying with music only he can hear. I turn back to them. Mom's face has gone the color of old ash. Lila looks like someone just punched her in the soul. You, Mom whispers. You rented the rooms? Before you ever mentioned Lila needed a place. Because this is my home, and I decide who breathes in it. Lila finds her voice. You did this to hurt me, to punish me. No, I say, and my voice finally breaks, just a little. I did this to stop letting you hurt me. Mom steps forward, trembling with rage. You will tell these people to leave right now.
No, Elena.
I said no. The word lands like a guillotine. For the first time in 32 years, my mother is speechless. Lila starts crying, perfect, practiced tears that have worked on everyone else her entire life. I have nowhere to go. You have a mother with a paid-off 4-bedroom McMansion and a father who thinks love is never rocking the boat. You have friends. You have a trust fund you've been bleeding dry since you were 21. You have options, Lila. You just don't like the ones that require you to grow up. Mom's voice is pure ice. After everything we sacrificed for you. Sacrificed. I laugh, and it's the ugliest sound I've ever made. You sacrifice nothing. I sacrificed birthdays, friendships, my 20s, my health, my ability to believe I deserved anything good. And you treated it like it was oxygen you were entitled to breathe. I walk to the front door and open it. The ocean roars behind me like it's been waiting its whole life for this moment. Get out. They do. Suitcases dragging like chains across my beautiful teak floors. The second the door shuts, my legs give out. I slide down it until I'm sitting on the floor, shaking so hard my teeth chatter, tears I didn't know I still had left burning tracks down my face. Sage finds me first, doesn't speak, just sits beside me, shoulder to shoulder, until the earthquake inside me slows. Rowan brings a blanket and wraps it around me like I'm the one who just came back from war. Nico stands in the hallway, arms crossed, silent guardian. Amadi takes his headphones off, walks over and places one gentle hand on my head like a blessing. And I sob because these 4 strangers just showed me more tenderness in 5 minutes than my blood ever did in 32 years. But the war was far from over. Mom declared total annihilation. The family group chat became a battlefield. Pray for us. Elena has abandoned her sister in her hour of need. Cousins I haven't seen since I was 12 called me heartless. Aunts quoted scripture about honoring thy parents. My father left one voicemail, voice flat. Fix this, Elena. She's your mother. I blocked numbers until my phone felt 20 pounds lighter. Then came the ambush visits. The guilt trip cards in the mail. The Facebook posts written in that faux saintly tone about children who forget where they came from. I stopped reading. I stopped answering. I stopped apologizing for existing. 3 weeks later, Lila texted, "Can we talk? Just us." I stared at the message for an hour. Then I called her. Her voice was small, stripped of the usual performance. "I'm sorry." I waited. "I didn't see it," she said. "How much it cost you? How much you carried? Mom always said you didn't need us, but you just needed to be needed too." I closed my eyes and felt something inside me crack open, not with pain this time, but with air. "I got a job," she went on. "Receptionist at a vet clinic. It's minimum wage, and I smell like dog shampoo, but it's mine. And I'm moving into a studio with 2 girls I met at community college.
I'm terrified.
But I'm doing it. I smiled so hard my face hurt. I'm proud of you, Lila. I don't expect forgiveness, she whispered. I just needed you to know I finally see you. And I hate that it took you locking the door for me to look.
We
Talked until the sun came up. When we hung up, I walked to the ocean barefoot and let the waves take 10 years of rage out with the tide. Mom never apologized. She doubled down, told anyone who would listen that I'd thrown my homeless sister into the street, never mentioning Lila had been crashing on friends' couches by choice, or that Mom had kicked her out only after Lila refused to help demonize me. Some cousins unfollowed me. Some reached out months later with sheepish apologies when Lila started telling the truth in group chats. Dad stayed loyal to the narrative that kept him comfortable, occasional texts about giving your mother peace in her old age. I stopped waiting for any of them to wake up. Instead, I built something better. Sunday dinners on the balcony became sacred. Sage taught me to develop film in the bathroom turned darkroom. Rowan taught me how to breathe when panic attacks came, slow, for 7-8, like he'd done in bomb shelters. Nico taught me to code, patient, quiet lessons over coffee at 2 a.m. when neither of us could sleep. Amadi played piano at sunset, and we danced barefoot on the teak floors until the stars came out. They became the family I'd never had, accidental, chosen, fierce. One night Rowan looked at me across the fire pit, eyes soft, and said, "You know you saved my life, right? I came here planning to disappear into the water one night. You gave me a reason to stay." Sage raised her glass. To Elena, who taught us that saying no can be the most loving thing you ever do. Nico, quiet Nico, added, and to the people who walk through the doors we finally learned to open. I cried into my wine until Sage had to take the glass before I dropped it. 8 months later, Lila invited me to her studio warming. It was tiny, paint-peeling, radiator that clanked like a drunk ghost, but it was hers. She'd hung the painting I gave her for her 21st birthday, the one Mom had banished to a closet.
I
"See it now," she said, voice shaking. "What you did. Locking that door wasn't cruelty. It was the first time anyone ever handed me a spine." We hugged for the first time without resentment between us. Mom still posts her martyr memes. I don't read them anymore. Some nights I walk the beach alone and think about the girl who used to flinch every time her phone buzzed, who used to apologize for taking up space. I barely recognize her. The condo is loud now, full of music and footsteps and laughter that isn't mine. The spare rooms have a waiting list a mile long. And every time someone new moves in, I tell them the same thing. This isn't just a place to sleep. This is a place where you get to be big. All of you. Unapologetically. The ocean keeps roaring its approval. And for the first time in my life, I roar back. So tell me, truly, when they come for the oxygen you fought to earn, when they demand you shrink so they can expand, do you make room? Or do you finally choose the life you bled for? I chose me, and I have never slept better. Your turn.
I'm listening.